thanks for joining me again. I'm doing a colouring page out of Jasmine Becket-Griffith's colouring book, A Fantasy Adventure. I am doing Lily today, so I'm going to run through that with you now. Now this particular colouring page was a bit of a challenge to me because I had issues with video recordings and devices. I ended up having to get a new camera in between, so I did lose some footage, and I do really apologize for that, but I didn't want to waste what I had already done, so I have still put together what I did get done, but I did miss a part of the picture where I did the wings, so please do excuse me for not being able to fill that in. I will run over the colours that I have used for you anyway, but yeah, that's the only part of it that I did miss. So today I am using Copic markers, and I am using Xpress blending card with those. So I will get started. Thanks guys. So the first colour I'm going to use today is E04, and I'm going to fill out all the shadow areas of the skin. So like in previous pictures that I have done, I'm using some normal skin colours here, and I'm going to add in a few lighter pastel colours into the skin as well today. So we're just going to start with E04, and I'm just going to shadow all of the areas where there would be a cast shadow. So underneath where the hair lays on the face, where the light would shadow her face if it was facing down, underneath her eyelashes, her eyebrows, on her nose, and underneath her hand there where it's sitting on the face. So those places we would add a cast shadow in, so I'm just adding those in now. I'm just going to add some cast shadows to her forehead as well, and I'm going to use some W0 to start that off. Now I'm going to blend out the E04 with E11. So this is the next lightest color that I'll use, and I'm just going to go over the top of the previous color and just bring it a little bit further out towards the white paper more. So on some areas I'm going to fill it in quite a bit because they are quite dark with shadow, and others I'll just go over the top of the other color and bring it out a little bit further. So now I'm going to bring in E21, and I'm going to go over the top of that again and bring that a little bit further out. So you can see on the top of her forehead there, I have brought that color out a fair bit, so it's almost covering her whole forehead, because that will be the main shadow area there, and in the middle of her eyes I've done that now, so I'm filling that in further over the top of the previous color. So now I've got E00, and I'm going to bring that further out. So I'm going over the top of all of the previous colours and bringing it further out towards the white. I'm only going to leave a small space for the E000. So now I've got E000, and I'm coming into all of those highlight areas now. I am bringing this colour over the other colours I've already done, so just smoothing that out nicely to give a good transition between those colours. So I have just done the face for now, and we'll move on to the body once I've done the face. So I'm going to bring in some blush on her cheeks. So I've got R20. I'm not coming right from the edge on that left side. I'm just doing it mid colour because I'm going to put some more colours in on the sides of that. Put a little bit on her nose there as well. And I'm going to just cover the lips with this too. So we're going to use it for eyeshadow as well, and also the fleshy parts underneath the eyeball there. I'm going to put that in there as well. So now I'm going to bring in some colours from the background and her wings. So I'm using B000, and I'm just coming over the shadow areas just nice and lightly and just bringing them a little bit into that highlight area there. So you can see what I've done there on the left side, brought it into the blush a little bit. So I've just done this all over in the shadow areas. Just going to blend that out a little bit with W1 now, so over the top of the previous colours, and I'm also putting some in the middle of the forehead there to deepen up that shadow area. So I'm going to go over the top of those shadow areas again now with the E04. Then I've got some E11 again. I'm going over the top of that previous colour and just bringing that further out again. So we're just doing this second layer to get some nice depth in that face. So I've got E21 now, and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour. Now I've got B00 and I'm going over the top of all of that again and bringing it further out. So you can really see some depth and shadow around her eyes now, and you can see the little highlights on her cheeks and her nose. Now I'm going over the entire area with E000. So now I've done that, I'm going to move on to the rest of her skin. So I'll put the colours up on the screen there for you so that you can see what I'm using as I go through. So I'm starting off with E11 and I'm going to move through those colours now. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a close-up here just to show you how I'm blending and smoothing the color out. So sometimes I don't use lines, sometimes I just use dabs. It depends on where the shadow is sitting, and I'll always try to put a little bit further out into that area by flicking my marker in, just to help give it a bit more of a smooth blend. Now I'm bringing in some colour from her wings into her shoulders here. So I'm using RV00 and I'm just going over the shadow areas and bringing it a little bit further in towards the highlight areas so you can just see the colour tint in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on some more of those areas on her body. I'm also bringing in some B000 to do the same thing. So I'm just going to go over the shadow area and just tip a little bit out towards the highlight area, just to put some of the colour from her wings into her body. I'm going to blend that out a bit now with YR00. This I'm also going to use in the wings as well. I'm just blending that out with E000 now. So I've got some RV00. I'm just darkening up the knuckle areas here. So now we've done the skin, I'm just going to work on the lips. So I'm going to start using some YR65 and I'm going to use this in the shadow areas of the lips. I'm just blending that up with YR02 now, so just going a little bit further over into the highlight area, still leaving a little space there for the highlight. You'll notice that sometimes I'll do little lines to show line texture and sometimes I'll just use dabs. So I'm using YR61 to go over the remainder areas, and I'm just going to go over that and deepen them up a bit. I'm just lightening up the areas of highlight on her nose here now. Just putting a couple of dabs of R43 into underneath the eyes here. So I've brought the film close up for you so you can see what I'm actually doing, because I know that sometimes I've missed eyes in the past, so we'll just go into it a little bit more in depth. So I'm using some C3 here and I'm placing it underneath where the eyelid is overlapping or shadowing on the eyeball. So where it's not directly just white, it has got a tone or grey tones in it because of the shadows of the eyelids. So I'm blending it out with C1, and then I'm just going to use the colourless blender and just dab that in and push that ink around so that it blends out nice and smoothly. So we can still see white where there should be white, and then we've got our shadow areas. So you can see they're using that colourless blender, that I've spread that colour out and pushed it more towards that area. So once that dries now, I will have some nice white there as well. So I'm just using the black marker and I'm just going to make those pupils nice and dark. The one on the left is a little bit smaller, so I do make that a little bit larger to match the other side as well. I'm also going to line her eyelashes. So I'm just going to use flicking motions from the darker area out towards the highlight there, just on all of the lashes there. So we're going to start on her eyes now. So I'm using YG21 and I'm just dabbing in dots of this colour all around the eyes there. So in the iris of the eye now, just little dabs in there. So I've got some G14 and I'm doing little dabs from the middle of the eye, so just outside of the pupil there, and from the bottom of the iris up. So just creating some shadow in these areas and in some little lines. So I'm not just being even, I'm just being rough and just lightly putting in that colour. I'm now going to go over that with some G17, which is a lot darker, and I'm just going to bring in some more lines. So we will still see the lighter colour in the middle just slightly when I finished. So I'm going to go all the way around the iris nice and deep there, and also around the pupil, and just bring little lines in from each side towards the middle there. Now I'm just blending out that dark colour with the G14 again. And now just coming over the rest of the area again with that YG21. So just pushing little dabs around in that middle section there. Now I'm going to put a little bit of contrast and some light in there, so some highlights with the white gel pen I've got here. So you can put these white spots anywhere that you want. I've just chosen this style of highlight to put in. There are many different types of things that you could do. You could bring the light straight across the eye, you could just do dots in there. It really is up to you and your own individual choice. This is what I've picked now. I am going to put a little bit underneath in the pinky areas to show a little bit of fluid reflection there as well, and I will have to go over and darken these again or lighten them again at the end, because the colour can come through that white gel pen a bit over the time. So I'm just going to pop these in now. So I'm still using that white gel pen now, and I'm just putting some little spots on the nose, on the lips, and also I'll do on some of her skin as well, just to show little highlights. So we're going to start on these butterflies. I'm going to use some B39, and I'm just creating lines with this out towards the highlight area from the edges. So I'm going to do a couple of larger thick lines on the inside here out, so just 3 or 4 lines out. And then I'm going to use it to come back in from the side of the butterfly, still using the same color, and flick out towards the middle. So I'm going over the area that will be black once I go over with the black marker, but I'm just bringing this over and out. I'm going to blend that out now with the next lightest color, which is B18, and I'm just going to go over the top of the previous colors and bring them further out towards the highlight area. So just going over the top of that color and just bringing it back over. So I'm going to change a couple of colors here, and I'll pop them up on the screen for you. So I've got B16, and I'm doing the same thing again. This time on the internal ones, I'm going to actually put some lines in between as well. So just spreading that color out there. Got some B14, and I'm going a little bit further out now. I'm closing in that gap there a little bit more each color that I use. Now I've got some B12 and I'm going to come over the top of all that again, so just keep bringing that further out towards the white area. I'm now starting to go over the top of the white area, so filling that in a little bit. So they're starting to meet each other in the middle and creating the look of lines through the butterfly wings. I'm just going to put a little bit of BG53 through that as well. I'm going to bring that B16 back in now, and I'm just going to do the bottom of the butterfly. So I'm going to use this to bring some streaks out from the middle, and then I'm going to bring it up from the outside of the butterfly wing. So I'm just going to do the same thing as what we did on the top there, but we're doing a little bit lighter on the bottom. So I'm using that B16 to do that. I've got B14 and I'm going over the top of that again and bringing it further up towards the middle of the wing there. So I'm going to blend that out now with B12. Then I'm bringing some Y02 just into the middle part of that bottom wing there, just flicking out towards the highlight area. Now I've got some BG53 and I'm just coming in over the top of that just to fill in those white spaces. I've got B00. I'm going over the entire area with this to blend it all in nice and smooth. I'm going to come back in with a darker colour and just put a couple of spots in and deepen up those shadow areas as well. So now I've done the middle of that butterfly, I'm just going to go ahead and line the outside of the butterfly. So I have gone over the lines with the blue to be able to get that nice blend and that look. But now I'm just going to go over the edges so you can't actually see where I've gone out past that because the black covers it over nicely. So I'm going to go around the whole butterfly with the black now. So that butterfly looks beautiful now. So what I'm going to do is exactly the same thing on the remainder butterflies that are left. Although on the other butterflies I'm going to do black for the body of the butterfly, but the rest of it I've done very, very similar. So I'll just pop up on the screen the colors that I'm using, and you can just follow along. So as I'm finishing off this butterfly now, I've got the B14, but you'll notice that I'm moving the page around a fair bit. This is so that I can get a good angle on the flicks that I'm doing out in towards that highlight area. So you can turn your page around, and whichever way helps you to be able to get a nice smooth line when you're flicking that out. So I'm just using some white gel pen again there, just going over and putting in some highlight areas. I'm going to have to come back over this to deepen them up again later on. So I've got some B63, and I'm going to go in and line all of the shadow areas with this on the sheet that she's wearing. So just in the crease lines and in some areas. So I'm actually really just doing it random. So putting in it underneath all the curve lines that Jasmine's put in there, and just bringing it further out and doing it, as I said, randomly around. So I haven't done it under all areas where she's leaning on it because there might be a light source coming from that side. I just sort of did it randomly because the sheet's just going to look multicolored. I don't think it really will make a difference where you put it. I've just started from the shadow points because this is the darkest color. Now I'm going to bring in some B00 and I'm going to go a little bit further out in those areas I've already done, and I'm going to add some extra shadow areas in. So you can see there now I've added this under the arm. I might add a little bit under the other arm or under the butterfly. So I'm just really just doing it randomly, as I said before, but I did want to fade out that B63 a little bit, so I've come back over that with this as well. I've also used this to add a few texture lines in on the side of the sheet there, and at the bottom there where it might be wrinkled, so that I can bring in some more colour through that. Now I've got some RV00 and I'm just adding this in to the other areas that aren't coloured yet. I'm going over the top of some of the other previous colours, but I'm not using it as a blend out colour. I'm just using it to put colour into the white. So I'm going to go around and put this in now. It is very random and rough. I haven't done any uniform sort of way. It's just done how I think that it should be done. So just go ahead and give it a go. Put it wherever you feel you need to. So I'm bringing in YR00 and I'm doing exactly the same thing that I did with the previous colours. I have added this a little bit into the shadow areas because it will darken up the other colours I have done, but I'm just doing it randomly around the area. So I've got Y00 and I'm going to try and go into all of the areas now that have no colour in them and just put this colour through it. I'm actually going to use exactly the same colours that I've used here for the wings as well. I'm going to add an extra colour into the wings, but it will be pretty much the same as what I've just done. So I'm going to use C0 to come in and just put a little bit more depth into the shadow areas now. So now I'm using the colourless blender to blend all of this and smooth it all together. So we don't get too much of the defined lines and things. I just wanted it to sort of blend in and meld in together. So I'm just going over that with that clear blender. Starting to look really good now. So we're going to start on the wings, and I'm starting with B63 again. I'm going to do the edges of all of the wing areas and bring them out towards the middle. So you can see that I've already done some of it there. This is part of the video where I did get a little bit lost. Luckily I got this side of the wing for us, so it's going to be a little bit easier for you because you've seen this side done. All I did was replicate this on the other side of the wings, but that's the part that I did miss. So I'm just coming out from the middle of each of those colored sections with this B63, and now I'm going it over it with the B00. So all I'm going to do is exactly the same as what I did with the sheet that's on her. I'm just going to blend and smudge in these colors a little bit so that they look kind of rainbowed through the wings. So I'm just going over the top of the previous color on this one and blending it out. On the next colors, I'm just going to lay them on top of those colors. I'm not going to worry about blending them in too much. So I'm bringing in a different color from the sheet. I'm bringing in G00, but I'm using this as a marking of where the leaves or the vines and things will be behind her. So this is a lily pad sitting behind her. So I've just added this in to those areas just so that you can see a faint shadow through the wings. So I'm not doing it too dark. I'm just marking it in. It's just an illusion to the eye, I think, that you have got some of that color in there. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to keep going with the colors. I'm going in with the YR00 now, and I'm just marking in some of that into the wing areas, just going over the top of the green that I just did. So just bringing that in to the wings. You can put it on the tops of the wings or the bottoms, it's up to you. Still using this YR00, but her hair is actually going to be orange. So what I'm doing is just filling out the areas of the wings that are covering over the hair. So because the hair is going to be so bright and orange, I wanted to put that into the wings. So I've done that on both sides. There's some hair underneath the other side as well, so I've done exactly the same thing. So wherever their wing was overlapping a piece of grass or leaves, I've put green behind it, and wherever it was overlapping the hair, I've put the orange behind it, so the YR00. So at the moment I'm doing G00 again. Going to bring some RV00 through now and put some pink tones into the wings. I've done them in some of the areas that haven't been coloured over yet. Obviously the parts that are over the hair, just put them anywhere you like. So I've put them mainly on the top parts of the wings here. You might do it on the bottom. It depends on wherever you feel you want to do it. So I guess I'm trying to say that I don't want you to feel like you're confined to exactly what I'm doing. I want you to try and, go out there and do your own thing. If you've got different colors, and give them a go. But I'm just trying to show you how it would look if you were to use the colors that I've used. But I really like it if you guys can just put in your own, style. So I'm using B00 here again, just flicking in a little bit more color and filling out those wings a little bit more. So lastly, I'm doing the Y00. This is where I lost some video of the opposite side, but what I want you to do is exactly the same thing you've done on this side. I want you to do it on the left side. All I've done then is line that with a black marker. You could use black fine liner or a black pencil. You don't have to use the black marker to do that, but all I did was just line those areas with that marker. Now I'm moving on to the newer part of the video. So this is with my new camera. Hopefully you can see it okay. We did have a few ins and outs of colors and things like that, but finally figured it out by the end. So yeah, we'll just move on now to the next color. So we're going to start on the little lotus flowers that are on her. So I'm using YR65 again, and I'm going to come in from the tops of these petals, and also I'm going to do some lines out from the bottom. And I'm going to move around the page and do each of those with this color. I'm going to blend that out with RV00. So a bit of swapping around there, but RV02 now just to blend this out a little bit further. I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and bringing it in a little bit further. So I'm using nice thin strokes out towards the highlight area and then coming back the other way. So I've got RVO2 again, and I'm just moving around each of the flowers and doing them bit by bit. So that's why it seems to swap and change a little bit there. So I'm just going to go ahead and go over these again with the darker colours and then lighten them up again. At the end, I'm also going to go over with the YR65 again just to deepen up the shadow areas of them. So now I finished up the flowers, we're going to move ahead to do the background. So I'm going to use G17 on some of the background, but I'm going to leave the leaves and vines and things and the lily pads and things like that separate. I'm going to do them in the yellow green range, but all of this background area I'm going to do with these colors that I'm going ahead with now. So I'm using G17 and I'm just going into some of these areas that have already been marked out and just putting in a darker shadow area there. So whether it be water or just bushes in the background there. So I'm just popping that in now. So I've got some YG06 and I'm going over the top of the previous colour and just bringing it a little bit further out. So I'm still staying in the colour range, but I've just gone to change to the yellow greens and put a little bit of that in as well. So you can do that between the colours. So as long as you've got a mid-tone, shadow and a highlight, you should be fine to mix the green tones together. So here I've just, as I said, I've just gone down a level or up a level in colour, but I'm still staying in the same colour range. So now I'm going back to G14 and I'm bringing that a little bit further out now. So we're getting a nice colour change and nice tones through there. And then I'm bringing in YG23 over the top of that. So we're just getting a little bit lighter each colour we go up. I'm also going to put a little bit in this in the stalks of those lily pads as well, so I'm just popping that in as well. Got some G21 and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour. Now I've got some YG21 and I'm just going over the top of the remainder of the white area with this one. So just filling out all the spaces. I'm just going to do the lily pads a separate colour. I'm just going to repeat the previous colours and just go a little bit darker now. So on the lily pads, we're going to start with YG99, and we're just going to do some random dark areas throughout that. So I'm not going to make any specific lines or anything on this leaf here. Up a little bit further, I will put in some lines to give it a different texture and different shape, because it is a different shaped leaf than these ones. I think it is an actual leaf, whereas these ones I think are supposed to be lily pads. So I'm just adding a little bit of this in underneath the bottom there as well. I'll blend that out with some G17 just to put some more of that colour back through that bottom bit there, which I've left quite light, so I'm just going to fill that in now. But yeah, I'm just using random colours throughout the areas just to create some depth and texture in the background. So after the YG99, I'm going to now blend that out a little bit with YG97. I'm just still blending out the bottom part at the moment. I've got just YG06 to bring it in with the rest of the background, because I did miss that part down the bottom there. Got YG21 and I'm just finishing that off now. I just wanted to bring that in line with the rest of the background. So now I've got that YG97 and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and blending it a little bit further out. And then I'm going to finish that off with YG95. So just to desaturate some of that a little bit, I've got YG91. And I'm just being nice and rough and just random in here. So I'm going to start on the next lily pads here with the same colours as before. So I'll pop them up on the screen when they come in. And as I said, that bottom left leaf there is a different shape. So I'm going to put in some shape to that later on as well. I'm just going to blend them out with YG97. I'm also going to put a pattern on the top of this leaf here. I'm just going to put a line down the middle and a couple of lines off to the side, and then just blend them out with the lighter colours there, just to put some pattern through that leaf. So now I've finished that side off, I'm actually going to repeat the same colours and everything on the other side. So I won't chat through that, I'll just run through quickly. I'll pop the colours up on the screen for you so you can see what I'm actually doing, and then we'll finish off the grass. So we're going to start on the grass. We're using G09, and I'm just going to go around all these strands of grass that are sticking up and just put some shadow behind them. Then I'm just going to come in and do flicks all over with different color greens to show the individual strands of grass. So the grass doesn't necessarily go in the same direction. Grass can go in all and any direction, so I'm not really worried about which directions that I do the flicks in or anything like that. So just come in and give it a go. Don't stress if you've got some going one way, some going another. I think it gives it more character and it makes it look more true to what grass is. So I'm just coming in now with this G09 and I'm just doing all of the shadow areas, and as I said, I'm coming behind the areas that were already marked in with grass there. So I'm just going to go do that all over. So now I've got some G07 or G07, and I'm just going in now and I'm just going over the top of what I've previously done, and I'm sort of bringing this into those other blades of grass a little bit as well. So I'm doing little flicks out from behind that shadow area out towards the wider area, and I'm doing them, as I said before, in all directions. So I'm going to go ahead and do this on the rest of it. Now I've got G05 and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to add a little bit more texture this time by coming further out into the white. So flicking longer strokes over the rest of the grass and sort of coming in other sections now to help fill in that grass a bit more. So I'm going to do that on both sides. So now I've got some G02 and I'm going to go over the top of that again. So just flicking over the previous colour and coming out a little bit further out now. So I've almost filled out all of the grass area with these colours. So I'm just going to continue on with this one now, and then I'm going to come in and fill in some gaps in the background so that there's no white, that it actually is a colour in the background. So I'll finish this off first. So I just filled in little bits of grass there that I hadn't done with the previous colour, so I did put them on the screen there for you. I'm just coming back in now with the YG00 and I'm going into all of the white areas. So I'm trying to stay off the individual strands as much as I can, just so I don't desaturate or blend them in too much. It is quite hard, but I'm going to go back over the top with the darker colours again just to make sure I've got some individual strands. So I've just gone over the whole lot there with YG21, and we're almost finished up with the background then, and we can get started on her hair soon. So I'm just going to use G05 and just go in and put a few more strokes in there to have individual blades of grass. I'm just going to go over the whole picture and finish that off now. So we're going to start on the hair. So I'll start on one section first and I'll do the complete section to show you how to do it, and then I'll let you guys run through and do the rest of the hair following along. So I'm using E18 to do the shadow areas of the hair. I'm doing the hair an orangey red colour. So I'm just popping into the shadow areas now and just filling this out. So what I mean by shadow areas is where the hair would be laying on top of other hair that you can see. So you can follow Jasmine's lines here as well because she's already started to put those in. So I'm just using my marker to fill those areas out a bit more to show a little bit more texture. So to do that, I'm just flicking little lines from the top and then coming back from the bottom up. So they're meeting each other in the middle, but they're actually not touching. So I'm leaving a gap for the highlight area. So I'm going to go ahead and change the color now. So I'm going up to E08, or E08 I should say, and I'm just going over the top of that again and bringing it further out. So exactly the same thing as I did the first layer, it's just that I might be making those lines a little bit thicker and a little bit longer. So once I've done that, I'm going to then go out again with YR18. So this is bringing the orange into it now. And I'm going to blend the YR18 out with YR14. So the thinner the lines that you do out, the more texture that the hair will look like it has. So the closer together they are, the less texture you have, the smoother the hair will look. So I'm going over it now finally with the YR61, that's my lightest colour. So we'll go back in now and deepen that up again, so going back in with the E18 and redoing those shadow areas. And then blending that back out with E08 or E08. So you can see that the highlights now starting to take form and that the shadows are nice and deep. Coming back over with YR18. And then we've got YR14 again. And you can see that's got nice rich colour, dark brown to oranges through that. And then YR61 again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of the hair. So you can follow along, and every parts that I do come across that are dark shadows, I'm going to put the E18 into, and then I'm going to blend it all the way out to that lightest colour again. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So we finished her hair now. So you'll notice that I did add in her eyebrows while I was going as well. So now I'm just going to put all my highlights in. I'm going to put some lines on her wings. I'm going to lighten up these little bits of highlights on the wings and things like that of the butterflies as well, because they've all dulled off now. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that now. So you can put these highlights anywhere you would like. You can put them in the hair, on her body, on the flowers, anywhere that you feel that you would like to put them in. It doesn't really matter where you put them in. So I just do them randomly around. I'm going to put some on the wings here to make them look a little bit shiny in spots. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that out now. Well, that's the end of our tutorial for Lily today. I will put my blog in the description, so just click on the link to get the colour charts on that. I'm not sure if I'll do a pencil conversion as yet. I'll see how I go. Also, thank you so much to Jasmine for these beautiful images today, and I want to thank everybody who has subscribed for their support over the last few weeks. And I just want to ask, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And also I'd love it if you could share my videos, just sharing the joy of colouring and giving some hints and tips to all your friends. Thank you so much again, and I will post in my description, I will also post my blog, my Facebook group, and also my Instagram link. So check them out and follow. Thanks guys.